Hello, hello, hello. What's the crack? Happy Monday. We're in December, friends, and we have a whole lot of learning in store this afternoon. I'm delighted that you're here. Please introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know who's hanging out with me this afternoon as we dive into some responsible generative AI. For this session, you're going to need this page. So on the page here, I have our training resources that you can access at any time. So if you do need to dip out, you've got your caretaker jangling some keys saying, get out of here, go home. You can always catch up with the rest of the session in the recording and also with the link here as well. So I'll leave all the resources for you in one handy place because I'm a good egg like that. So what are we going to get up to today? Well, we're going to have a little look at generative AI and how Adobe Express has made a responsible version of it for the classroom in Adobe Express for Education. We're going to complete a guided activity, my favorite guided activity, with some of the inventing a product. So we could do some generative image, we insert objects, we remove objects, we do some text effects, merge it all together into something pretty epic. So we'll have a little look through some of the things that you can do in that activity. Then we'll go and use a template to kind of engage some critical thinking on generative AI in the classroom and show you how you can share these with your students as well. One of the other things that we'll do is we'll have a look at some of the research. So there is a full research report right here for you to pore over and to look over in your own time. But if I just click on this image, I can make this bigger for you all as we discuss why are teachers getting into generative AI and why should you consider using it in your class? Well, first of all, some of the things that teachers are seeing is that students are using creative AI tools for their coursework. So it's already happening. And they are seeing that this is increasing the amount of students engaging with their creative and creative thinking skills in particular, which is what we want, right? Because we know from the future of jobs reports that come out every couple of years that like creative thinking is always up there as some of the most important skills for our students to have. And if generative AI can help unlock that and make it more accessible for some students, then let's get on board that train. 92% of educators also believe that creative AI literacy is beneficial as students begin to prepare for college and for future careers as well. We know that it's not an option sometimes. These tools are everywhere, whether we want them on or off. They're automatically opted in, like we see predictive text all the time. We may not think of it as an AI tool, but it is. Even spelling and grammar checkers are AI tools as well. So it's one of those things is like, having an AI literacy and a creative AI literacy is going to be a very distinct advantage and a unique skill set to have when some of us may just still be on that journey of like actually understanding what AI is. But if your students are able to wield it creatively, they're going to have an advantage for sure. And then 90% of educators believe that Gen AI fosters creative expression and well-being. Again, whenever you unlock pathways to being able to express yourself, then we know that being creative already helps with your mental well-being. We saw it loads during lockdown and COVID, how many people started some banana bread. That was our way of like being expressive and creative, and it was a way to look after ourselves during a really tricky time. So generative AI is an opportunity where some students might be playing around with it and pushing all the buttons to see what works. That's great. We should be in that explorative space and then start moving into, well, how can we use this with purpose and what's the pedagogical incentive and advantage to doing generative AI in class? Some of the things then to be mindful of for Adobe's Gen AI is that it has been designed to be safe for classrooms and to be responsible in particular, because the guardrails that are put onto this generative AI have been popped on there to encourage appropriate use. Now, that doesn't mean that something doesn't come up that you mightn't intend, because that happens with even a simple Google search, even the most innocent of terms, especially at this time of the year. People searching up certain characters can lead to something unintended coming up in it. And that happens with Gen AI as well sometimes. So it is one of those things where your admin can turn it off or on. So you've got, like, for Northern Ireland and Wales, C2K and Hub are the admins, and they've determined that it's safe for the classroom to use. And then in Scotland, you've got Glow and your local authorities. And then across England and beyond, it might be school by school for independent schools or for your multi-academy trust. But one of the things that's fantastic about the Gen AI within Adobe Express is that it is not training on any student or teacher data that's in there already, which is a massive relief for me personally. I find that area of Gen AI very uncomfortable, to be honest. I don't like knowing that, especially for free tools, that if it's free, you're the product. But for Adobe Express for Education, you're not the product. Your data is safe and it's yours. You can use it then for anything that you can create with Adobe Express is royalty free, commercially safe to share anywhere online, which again, just a massive relief and peace of mind. And it's also one of those things where I put the caveat in there. It's like there might be some things that I do with Adobe Express for Education that I would not do with any other tool. And sometimes I don't promote certain things on Adobe Express for Education because I don't want people to think that this is just an okay thing to do with any AI tool. We have to be very intentional with what we're using and realize, like, is this tool safe to do this type of project or lesson for? And if it's not, then you have to know what alternatives you could go to that are commercially safe, and that are going to treat your students' data very responsibly. And some of those things are the transparency model with Adobe Express for Education that I really like. So you'll definitely have seen around the 12 days of creativity that are being posted all the time now, that there are little copyright credentials. So like it lets, and like transparency credentials. So like it lets people know that like Adobe Express was used to create this, especially if Gen AI was involved. So that's very handy. And then some of the things to also know about the generative AI within Adobe Express is that you can give feedback and report it, and there is a real human on the other side of those reports, which again is fantastic. It hasn't been totally automated to a machine to do. It can be flagged for review and a human looks at it. And those humans then work on the next best version of the models that are used. So Firefly is the model that is used in Adobe tools, and then there are more responsible versions of it given out to schools via Adobe Express for Education. So let's have a little go at trialing some of them out. Oh yeah, that was the last one to show in there as well, is again this content authenticity initiative. So that bit where I was saying about like the content credentials. So you see this like little CR in the corner of some posts online so that you know like that AI was used. And I think that just makes the internet a bit more of a transparent and safe space for us all, which I am all in favor of, friends. So pop in any questions into the chat, or any insights that you might want to share along the way. I always love reading them. And this is probably a good time to say, before we go into our first activity, that if I'm going too fast and you want to take more time with your creativity, you maybe just want to like try out a few more prompts or anything like that, just pause me. The video will pause for you and you can catch up whenever you're ready. I love to know that people are pausing it because they're just having so much fun pushing all the buttons, which is great, grand and groovy with me, friends. So go ahead, hit pause at any stage as you take part in this online activity with me. So we're going to go into this guided activity to design your dream product. And there is a link for it right there, which would be really handy for you if you want to just click on that. But I will also show you how you can find it from the Adobe Express for Education homepage. So at the moment, my homepage has been taken over by the 12 days of creativity. But just in this header bar, I have try fun guided activities. And at this stage, again, if you're on an iPad or you're on a different aspect ratio device than me, you mightn't have 5 tiles across the top. You might have 4 or 2, but just looking for this little teal turquoisey tile, try fun guide activities. And the 5th one for me here is, let me just get my little pop-up away. The 5th one here is the create your dream product with Gen AI. That's the one that we're going to use. And actually, before I click into that, let me come back a step. What I would say is, like, do you see how handy this is? Do you see these little URLs, these little link buttons? You just click that link and share it very easy with your students. So if you're using like Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, Seesaw, Just Too Easy, however you're sharing work and content with your students to engage with, boom, just click that link and then it will take them straight into this template. And that's essentially how I put the link for it right there, was just get the link and pop it in there. So let's let this activity load up for us, and we have a little look at what's involved. So we have a multi-page guided activity here. Most of the guided activities are just one-pagers, but I love this one because it takes you through a creative process page by page. So we're going to create a unique design. We're going to refine it. We're going to edit it, and we're going to apply what we know in an ad. We mightn't actually have time for all of that within our hour-long session together, but we'll make a start anyway and show you the potential for what you could create before we go on to activity 2. One of the things I love about this is about all of our guided activities are the tutorial instructions down the side. So this one is kind of telling me, like, here's the menu of stuff that you have going on. So if I just click get started, I can see that I'm on the first one to get started with Gen AI. And all I have to do is, in fact, I don't think my system audio is on. Let me just stop sharing for a wee second and put it back on so that you can hear the video. All right, thanks for bearing with me. Let me hit play here.
Welcome. In this project, you'll learn how to use generative AI in Adobe.
And I can also go full screen.
Adobe Express to design your own custom product, like a shoe, skateboard, or anything you can dream up, and turn it into a finished ad. The goal? To help you build confidence using generative AI tools while making something that's 100% your own. Here's how it works. You'll move through this project one step at a time, using tools like Generate Image, Add and Remove Object, Text Effects, and more. On each page, you'll find a short video on the right side panel, just like this one, to help guide you. The template starts with a shoe design as an example, but you can swap in your own idea at any time. Think of generative AI like your creative assistant. It helps you bring your ideas to life based on the directions you give it. The clearer your prompt, the cooler the results. So get ready to experiment and build something awesome. When you're ready, head over to page 2 to get started.
All right, so I think sometimes it's always worthwhile just taking a little moment to show you what the full video experience is like as well, because you can of course use that as a teaching tutorial and moment, like maybe around your carpet area or for whole class teaching, and just put it on the full screen. You can also put on some captions and you can pop out the video as well if you wanted to. And what I love about these guided activities is how much it supports the universal design for thinking for learning principles. So we've got like students who maybe do want the video tutorial, but here's some multiple means of engagement. We've got like visual images, we've got text by step-by-step text explanations as well. And then we can also interact with it on every single page in whatever way we want. I can close off this learning panel as well. X to get it away, light bulb to bring it back. So the Learn tab, this little light bulb, super handy. And sometimes, especially if you're on an iPad, I find that I need more canvas space, so I need to kind of hide that away. So that becomes really helpful. Now, let's have a little go at this, shall we? So let's go on to page 2. And let me go on to the page 2 instructions. So brainstorm and design a product. So we're going to decide what we want to design. We can stick with a shoe or we can go with something else. What are you gonna design? Maybe you need to pause right now to think more of your design. It is coming up to Christmas time, so maybe I'll invent a new toy, or something like that. I've got it. Okay, I'm gonna go down to. There's a couple of ways I can get Gen AI. I could go to the Generative AI button here, the second last one. I could also go to Media and Generate Image, or if you're watching this back in January, you may have noticed that there's a new interface, like spoiler, for those of you who are watching this live or watching this in December. There's going to be a new like editor menu here down the left-hand side and up at the top. So there's going to be like just a slight little rejig of things. So you might need to go to add content. So for those of you who are watching in 2026, go to add content to find the generate image button. So let's generate an image, and I want this to be widescreen because I just wanted to fit into this little like blank canvas space that I have, like so. And I'm going to invent a dream product. I'm going to invent some wearable tech, I think. Yeah, let's do that. So describe what I'd like to see. So I need a good prompt here about what I want. And also knowing that this is becoming an advert by the end, I'm going to think about some of my positioning and backgrounds as I create this. So I'm going to say a futuristic pair of smart glasses with a flash and a holographic lens. Resting on a table with a blank All right, got something going on now. I'm going to choose content type. It's going to be photo because I think this is like a real product. And I've got my prompt here, a futuristic pair of smart glasses with a flash and holographic lens resting on a table with a blank wall in the background and a soft spotlight. And I've given it a style direction as well. So that little prompt format that I chose was like subject, background, style. That has been pinched from my wonderful colleague, Shell McConville. She has a fantastic Gen AI resource, and it is a gold mine, a treasure trove of Gen AI tips. I will put a link for it up in just a wee second. Ooh, they turned out super cool. Liking it. I mean, this one's quite funky, isn't it? I think I could work with those. Anyway, I got side quested. Because that's me all the time. Every time I see these pop up, I'm just like, oh, that's class. So yeah, just to spotlight Shell's fab resource, adobe.ly/Gen AI resource. And that little prompt structure that I just used, chef's kiss, Shell's cooked it up in that resource there to kind of help you go through teaching Gen AI with your kiddos. There's also an entire prompt inspo linked within that. I think there's like 9 pages of 9, is it 9 by 9? Of lots of different prompt inspirations for like different styles that you would want, and some of the very rich vocabulary that your students would pick up from engaging with a resource like that would be absolutely class. I think my mind would be blown if I heard some of my children talking about like voxel styles. That's the one that kind of looks like Minecraft. So if you've got Minecraft lovers in your classroom, you want to give that one a rattle. But yeah, everything's on that resource. I'll keep that up for a little moment, and I'll also make sure it's added on to the resource at the very bottom. And let's have a little look at what we've got left to do in this one. So we just have to put our prompt onto this little post-it note. So that's always really handy if you want to know, like, well, how did your kiddos create something like this, and so that you can give them feedback on their prompting skills. I definitely need to make that. Just going to highlight it and shrink the size down a little bit, like so. Or maybe I just need to make it not bold, and it could work. Yeah, it's working all right. And then once you've done that, we've got like basically the first one done. Now it is telling us that we need to click on your image and Control-C or Command-C so that we can copy it onto the next page. So for those of you on iPads, you might also just want to click the 3 wee dots and then click copy so that we can bring it to page 3. So let's hop over to that page 3. And the first thing we're going to do, if I go over to next as well, so I get to the next page here, if we just do our paste now, so you can see I'm on page 3, and I'm just going to paste my image in, like so. And what we're saying, so it says paste this image on, choose a reference image by either taking a screenshot of something you have permission to use or by browsing the Photos tab in the Media panel. So let's say I wanted to browse the Photos tab in the Media panel. How might that work? So it could work like so. DPDPDs, Media. Let me go Photos and say like smart glasses. and see, ooh, these are quite interesting. It's quite holographic looking there. Let me go with this. Oh gosh, I would have needed them last week. I was traveling last week. I had my first time ever doing connecting flights, and that would have been super handy to have like on glasses just pop up, being like, "Walk to this gate," instead of, do you ever like get overwhelmed by the airport screens of like, "Where's my flight? Can't find it." Never mind when you have to make a quick turnover. Anyway, side quested again as always. Thanks, friends. So yeah, let's say I want to use this as my reference image. So it says you can either take a screenshot of this, or I'm just gonna pop it down here, as this is like my reference image that I'm going to use. Might also give it a something I like to do is, because you can't just like click on this and like save the image. So one of the things I do, if I just make this huge, just like fill up the entire page, like so. Okay, kind of got it. I'm just going to download this image. This is an image, so I just went download, selected page, it's a PNG, download. That way I've got it in my camera roll or my downloads folder, and I can just kind of pop this in here as my reference image. And you're probably thinking, okay, Nicole, right, it's your reference image, but you also saved it. Bear with me. I'm now going to go back into the image that I had, so create my image, and I'm going to choose this as a style reference. I'm going to say this is the style that I want. And then you can see you can either leave your prompt as is or update it to match the vibe. So let me see, a futuristic pair of smart glasses with a flash and a holographic lens with a notification displayed. That's probably the bit that I like on the reference image that I got. And let me just update that now. So I've just clicked generate again. And you see that this says down here that I've used 1 credit. So this is a good time whilst this is generating to talk about credits. In your profile picture up in the top right corner, you can have a look at how many Adobe Express credits your account has and how many you have left and when they're next going to reset. Ooh, that turned out very nice. So you can see I've only used a handful of credits and they'll get reset in January. But that can be very handy there, friends, is having a little look at how many credits you've got left and talking a little bit about, well, why would you only get a certain amount of credits and why wouldn't you have unlimited credits? That would be wasteful, it would be harmful to the environment, but we want to give you enough credits to do some meaningful learning with. So now that I've got step 2 done, I could go in, you can see we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to copy and paste this over to the next one. So let me see, maybe did I want to change any styles? Yeah, let's have a little look at those. Maximalism. I'm going, I want cyberpunk now. Let me generate that again, and then I'll take that image across. But again, it's just about exploring and pushing buttons and things like that. Something that I didn't do over here was my smart glasses. I didn't change the name of this. There we are. Ooh, yeah, okay. Already delighted. See, that was just the style. So in my generate image, when I scroll down, just this styled section, the cyberpunk ones have turned out all sorts of funky. And I can see the little notifications that I was looking for as well. Boom. All right, let's copy this over. Go to page 4, see what we're doing here. So on page 4, we're going to start using remove backgrounds, insert objects, remove objects, so on and so forth. So quite a lot of cool stuff that we're going to get to do. And you can do this with also any image. So you could upload any image into Adobe Express and you could use these editing tools. So you could remove the background, erase, remove object, insert object, and you could generate similar as well and set it as a background. The only one you wouldn't have is generate image because this is an image that was generated. But if you uploaded one, it wouldn't have that in there. So first thing we're going to do is remove something that we might want to erase. And let me have a little look in here. So let me click erase. And maybe something I want to erase. I could choose either quick selection. Quick selection is going to find everything that's that kind of color or that in that shape, and it will remove it all. So for example, if I clicked like this part, you see how it took like a good bit of that beam. I'm going to go up to my bestie undo up here. Or this section, you see how it's taken out like just everything in one go. Whereas and you'll also notice that what it's doing is erasing it, like making it see-through. So it's not just, that's what the erase one's doing. The one that we're going to use is remove object. Remove object is more like replace object. So it will replace it with something else. So let's say, for example, like this random like squiggle here, I just wanted to remove. I could just brush over it like so, and then click remove. And that does use a credit as well. Again, every time you're clicking that blue button, is a credit. And it's going to give me some options to choose from for like which one maybe get me the best result for the removal. And I mean, in fairness, they're all pretty sweet, so I'll just keep that. And maybe I'll do the same a little bit here, because this is like not quite the perfect square that I was looking for. Did I kind of get it there? I think I did all right. And see how it goes with removing that. So you can tidy up a bit of your image using remove object. That's also really handy if you're doing things like a shared ed activity I did with the school. Yeah, that turned out really well. Yeah, I like that first one. A shared ed activity I did with the school last year was going around taking photos of the windmills and like castle ruins in their local neighborhood. But then like we maybe had like telephone wires in the photograph. So we just use remove object to erase out the telephone wires, and it just replaced it with like blue sky. So again, like some of those really advanced Photoshop skills, boom, just there, a click on a button in Express, like super handy, super straightforward to use. Let's have a little look at what else we could do for this. So do you want to add something new? Then let's choose insert object. So clicked on my image again, and I'm going to click insert object this time. And maybe here, like right here, I want like, you know, like a bright LED light to show like a flash is going off. So I'm going to say like an LED flash light and insert. And you can always change your brush size just to get a bit more control and a bit more precision in what you're trying to create, which is super duper handy. Now apparently none of my flash, oh, they're just very tiny. The flash is just not on. Maybe I need a different phrase, maybe like a light. Oh no, I did have light. A bright neon light. Maybe I'll try that instead. And again, this is just like going back in and iterating and evaluating your prompt and working out the limitations of AI models as well. Like very clearly, it doesn't know what a flashlight is or something like that. So that one didn't really work for me. But now I know for the next time, I'm like, okay, well, it struggled with that, or it needs that kind of fine detail. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you how I would give feedback to the generative AI within Express. So let me just try that one more time. That's what I should have done. So just brush it here, and I'll say an LED neon flash light, and let me insert. And one of the things that you have on every thumbnail that comes up is an option to either give feedback or to report it. So let's see, I still haven't quite got what I was looking for. So I'm just going to go to the 3 wee dots here, and you can see I've got submit feedback or report. And I mean, it's not a red flag. It's not like wildly offensive. It just doesn't understand what it is. So I'm just going to click submit feedback. And how's experience? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down on this occasion. And then I would say distorted, results not, poor quality, just multiple tick, and just say I expected flash light similar to ones shown on smart glasses. Okay, like that. And then just click submit. And away that goes, and there's an actual human, as I said, sitting on the other end of those reports and feedback as well. So one of the things that I did with my primary 7 students last year was that I got them to give feedback on at least one out of every generation that they did. So every time they get 3 or 4 results pop up in Gen AI, they had to give feedback on at least one, whether it was positive or negative. It just got them being critical users of the generative AI tools instead of just accepting it and going. It actually gave them a moment to pause and go, all right, was this what I expected? Was this the best possible outcome? Did this actually benefit me in my learning? Well, then great. I'm going to give it a thumbs up and say, yeah, this was great for inspiration. Or yeah, this was actually beyond what I expected and things like that. And that just gives them a little moment, as I said, for critical thinking, for reflection, and for being an active consumer and creator with these tools rather than just passively accepting what AI gives you. So I would highly recommend that, especially if you've got children Key Stage 2 and above. I would say definitely get them being more reflective users of Gen AI and being part of making the tools better. So we've done that step. If we just go to the very bottom now, what we're doing is we're removing the background. I'm going to be quite intrigued to see how it copes with removing the background of this one with all the neon behind it, but it smashed it. That looks really good. Oh, wow. So let me take those over. And I could go in and I could be like, oh, maybe I'll get rid of this bit in the middle. Maybe that's where I need the erase. Let me see. Yeah, worked pretty well. And I can also go into the restore. So maybe it got rid of let me zoom in just a little bit. Maybe it just got rid of a little bit too much of, and just adjust my brush, too much of this. There we go. I can just click it back in. It did very well. And again, for a free tool that's using a lot of the most popular features from the Pro tools that Adobe are so well known for, like Photoshop and Lightroom and things like that. This is just fabulous. There we go. It's not looking class now, friends. I'm very happy with this, have to say. And then we're on to the last page, which I'm not going to do today because this one essentially is the end project from maybe a more detailed project of work where we're going to turn this into a full-on ad, put a price on it, a slogan, a caption, a title, name the product, so on and so forth. But one thing that I will show is how you could add text effects, because that's the second one, is text effects to enhance visual appeal. And first of all, what you need for text effects is some text. So let's go in and put a title in here. My smart glasses. And that's not really the font of smart glasses in my opinion. So I'm just going to go over to these recommended fonts and try and find one that I think, that they could be smart glasses. Hack regular, that sounds like the right font for this, so that will do rightly. And I usually like quite a chunky font whenever I'm doing text effects in particular. I'm just going to go down to bold. Yeah, that will work rightly for me. And now I'm going to go over to effects. So once you've got your text box in, up at the top, we're going to effects. And the first section is generate text effects. And there's a few starter ones for you there. Or we can just go to the little pen and we can make our own one. So I'm going to kind of go with see with this pink and blue tealy neon stuff. I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to go with neon LED bars of pink and let's say that like a baby blue. Baby pink and baby blue. Let's see how that goes. And generate. And something I then like doing is going up nice and close. So you can have a look at this as it generates in kind of in a random order, the letters. It doesn't usually start from left the whole way across to right. You'll get to see that E was first. And it's going up nice and close. That's really cool, isn't it? And this was one of my primary 7's favorite, their most favorite tools in this. They're yeah, okay, cool, we can generate images. But I think they really loved generating text because it was something that they couldn't do in other tools. And also, I think they were just also like maybe little nerds for the visual metaphors. Like we loved it. It's probably because I was a big nerd for it too, and they just rubbed off on me. So or I rubbed off on them more. So we got like these visual text metaphors, text effects popped in there. We've used every Gen AI button going in Express, and the last thing to do would after you go and make that into an advert is then to go and generate your own little Gen AI creator badge. So we'll go turn this out. Sorry, Christy, it's now Nicole, and I'm going to go and create Nicole, and I'm going to go over to generate image and reprompt this so that it looks like something that I have created instead. And then you would, download your work, share it, maybe get children collaborating together on it using the little button up here. You just need to know their Adobe ID, which you can find your Adobe ID in there or in the top right underneath your name. So that's how easy it is to get started with nearly every Gen AI tool available to you in Express. The only thing that I would say for it is like, let your children, like Christmas is a great time to do it, around holiday seasons whenever we're giving gifts, like let your kids have a little bit of freedom and time to explore this one and not rush them too much, because there's so many options for them to explore and play with. And sometimes I know time is so precious that how often you get into the ICT suite or get access to the trolley of devices and things like that. But try to let them have like the creative freedom to really express themselves and to pick up some of these skills and to go through these tutorials in a way that suits them. And they'll thank you for it and you'll thank them for it because they'll create something really cool by the end of it. So yeah, go and create their own badges as well, which is just such a cool little tool. There is one more Gen AI tool in here that we haven't had a look at, which is rewrite. So for example, here's like a piece of text that I have here. And when I click on text, I can see the rewrite button. So the rewrite button is essentially a little bit of help with your text to, rephrase it, shorten it, lengthen it, or to make it sound some different type of way. So if I wanted to make this sound comical, perhaps, and rephrase it, let me generate that and see what this becomes. So tweak it more, add or ditch, spruce it up, add or scrap, refine away, toss or include. That's a lot more casual and comical than the version that we had before. And you could just be like, yeah, I want this one, and just add it to the page. So you see I've got a new page instead. So it's given me a different version of it in case I still wanted to have my first page to refer to, which again can be really handy. Or instead, I could have chosen to replace, and in which case it wouldn't have duplicated the page for me. It would have just made another one. It would have just replaced it in that previous one. So I'm just going to delete out this little page. I don't need it. It was just to show you an example. It's not one that we go over too often. And again, it's totally up to you as the professional in the room, like whether that's a tool that you want to draw to your children's attention. I would say they're going to hit all the buttons anyway. So it's a good opportunity to show them like the differences in how using AI to help with writing, the differences in the way that it will produce content, and even for them to study that and to have a look at that themselves and see if they could come up with more comical ways. And again, it just highlights the limitations of tools and the actually the unique strength of humans as well in this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back to the Adobe Express for Education homepage, and I'm going to bring you back over to our activity page, which has been ticking along at the ticker at the bottom there. And we're going to have a little look at activity 2. So I'll give you a wee second to read that, and then we'll get started. So we've got a template to remix here, and we're going to reflect on our Gen AI opinions. How might this be affecting our news? We think about the rise of misinformation and disinformation happening here, and we're going to try and add in some audio as well, because it's super important to still capture students' voice and find a way for them to show their own thinking and reflections on this. And sometimes, yeah, text can cover that, graphics can cover that, but actually hearing a child's voice and getting them to get involved in that respect can be super handy. So To get into this, you're just going to click the news story and it will open you up into a template like so. And we're spotting some fake news that might come out of some Gen AI product releases or things like that. And this is just like a nice little activity that we could build and create with our students. You'll notice that this one is not a guided activity, so it doesn't have the Learn panel open up down the side. Now I could click open the Learn panel and I could go and follow some of these instructions, go to these tips and learn some things about Adobe Express along the way. I could also click open the guide activities, but this is one that we can just DIY it ourselves. So you can see up at the top it says select the main image, press generate image, edit the prompt, make your own fake news report. So click the image, press generate image, edit the prompt, and make our own fake news report. So what might be happening in the news? What might be some misinformation, disinformation that's coming across with AI? Let me see. I was just reading that prompt, I got distracted. Well, there is a super big rise in deep fakes, isn't there? And there's definitely a rise in discussions, maybe even about like AI taking over jobs and things like that. That could be a very real news story. But there could be maybe some of that futuristic has come too soon. So a robot teacher in a classroom. Let's say with his interactive whiteboard. Oh, I'm going to say it's a super widescreen interactive whiteboard. How about that? And let's generate that instead. And what I might want to do now then is think about my title. So it's not a UFO spotted in the city centre. It's like, you know, robots take over classrooms, something like that. That one. Very good. Okay, I can vibe with this one, I think. Those other ones are too much of a merge of like the human. That one's a bit uncanny valley, isn't it? No, I'm going to stick with this one. Let's go with robo teachers take over schools. Now, you can see that this doesn't quite fit in everything, so I'm just going to I'm holding down the shift key as I click everything, and then I'm just going to like move this over to the end, and I'm just going to stretch out this part like so, and I'll just use my arrow keys, click on things and my arrow keys to move that over. I'm going to call this like spoof news. Spoof news, shimmy that over a little bit. Your news channel, I'm going to say News Corp channel. And there I go, I'm done. So now what I might want to do is to put in the news reporter that's maybe reflecting on this, and they're going to say of course you're going to have the little cadence of today in the news. So I could do this in a couple of ways, and you're going to decide which way you want to do it. So we can go to media and videos, and we've got a couple of options here. So I could go over to audio and choose just record a voiceover, or I could choose animate characters or record yourself. So which one do you want to go for? Pause if you want to take more time to think. I'm going to go with animate characters. I mean, I love it so much. I might as well. You can see I was doing a pirate one recently. So let's go to professional people. Let's see if I've got someone that looks like they could be a news reporter. Oh, there's someone called Nicole. It'd be rude not to use her. Let me see. Who else could I go with? Ruby looks like a good shout. Brenda. Brenda looks scared. Oh, that's a news reporter. All right, Dara. You're looking very newsy. Now, what I could do for this is, you see this little enhanced speech button down at the bottom. So if you're in a noisy classroom, or you've got, maybe don't have the best microphone or headset that you're using, toggle on enhanced speech so that you get that like professional recording studio style sound. Otherwise, you just start recording, and you've got about 2 minutes to come up with like a little blurb here. I'm not going to take that long. I'm just going to say, I'll wing it. I'll just wing it here. Let's see. And you'll see I've purposely I purposely didn't choose a background, but I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to put a background in instead. Let me just cancel that a wee second and see if I can get something that looks like live from the news studio. This is BBC Radio Ulster. Ooh. I mean, it could look like she's doing the weather there. Let me see. Dance stage, because I'm definitely going to want her cropped about there, not in the dance stage. Anybody seeing one that they're like, Nicole, I can't believe you're not using that? Ooh, maybe coming live from the Modern Office. Maybe could look like, oh, do you know what? Every news channel ever always has like the night sky in behind them, don't they? Or like the daytime one. Maybe I should go with that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that city background, because that's what news channels have. All right, now let's do my recording. Actually, one more is I'm going to change the aspect ratio. Also because, those little like picture in pictures for the news, it's always like in a different shape like that. I'm gonna go with. Parents are up in arms as robo-teachers take over classrooms. Out with the old and in with the new. AI-powered assistants are now teaching children as young as 6 in countries all across the world. This comes as government agencies decide teachers should be laid off and have a never-ending summer holiday. Back to you in the studio. That was a good professional wing job there. Who else wants a never-ending summer holiday? Sounds great, but I don't know if I like the idea of AI-only classrooms. Let's not have that. So this just takes a little while to generate, particularly if you have enhanced speech on, because it's doing a lot of hidden AI work in the background. So you just need to say, welcome kids to the return of patience, as it transcribes your voice from speech to text, goes and matches it up with some animation and lip syncing. Then it will rig it all together based on like the expression in your voice and things like that. And then it will enhance the audio if you did that. So it will like separate the foreground, the closest sound to the microphone, and the background sound. Do all of that in one go is pretty impressive. So it does just take a little second. And you can see I am currently waiting in the queue. The queue of how many other people are creating with animate characters, who knows? And then one of the things that I'm going to do in this is I'm just, as soon as the video goes in, I'm just going to shrink it down and find a sensible place for it to kind of like sit on my canvas. So again, you could do animate a character, or you could just do record yourself, which basically, if you have a front-facing camera on your iPad, your Chromebooks, your Surface Pros, your laptops, MacBooks, whatever you're using, then that one would be really good to use. But if you don't have access to that, but you do have access to a mic, then animate characters would be the one I recommend for you. And failing all of that, if you don't want video, maybe you've got too much detail on your screen and you would prefer just to have a voiceover, then you just click onto the audio tab and put your voiceover in instead. So I've got my little character here now. I'm just going to shrink it down and like bring it up to here. And it's like my little picture-in-picture newscast. And do you know what I might actually do as well is I might, yeah, I thought that was a layer. I might duplicate this. Oh, let me see. Right click and duplicate. And I think I'm going to make this look like a little box around my little newscast. And it doesn't look so rare as if it's just been shoved in the corner there, which it kind of has. I know it has been. Like so. Yeah, it works pretty well. So let's have a little play. Parents are up in arms as robo-teachers take over classrooms. Out with the old and in with the new. AI-powered assistants are now teaching children as young as 6 in countries all across the world. This comes as government agencies decide teachers should be laid off and have a never-ending summer holiday. Back to you in the studio. And I hope we have enough pay to do that as well. All right. So unfortunately, that is spoof news. You're not having a never-ending summer holiday, and thankfully, no one's getting laid off right now as well. So that's great. So it's just spoof news. It's right there. Okay. So now what we want to do is rename our work. Go in here. Spoof news. Hit enter. We want to download it for an authentic audience. Maybe we want students to collaborate together and like stitch all of their news stories together. And again, just going up to that person up at the top. And then click share. If you want to send it into your Google Classroom, your Teams, maybe link it to any of your cloud storage that you have, or create that view-only link. View-only link is a fantastic way to not take up like file storage or storage on your devices, but just give like a URL, a website link that can allow people to come and view your work without, as I said, without taking up all that file storage, which is so precious. So creating a link, and then just give it a little second to create, and then click copy link and go and paste it or email it wherever you need to. So that's that activity done, and you could see how you could lean into a lot of fantastic, like responsible generative AI conversations here about ethics, about job replacement, about privacy, about plagiarism, about bias. There's a whole bunch that you could get into with this type of activity. And of course, you could use that for any topic. That template could be used for anything. Doesn't have to be about AI. So copy the link and away you go. Your task is done. Right, let me hop back over to here. There's one. So you could record the following if you want to have a little reflection on your time with me this afternoon. You could pause me and have a little think about what can you do with generative AI that you did not know you could do prior to this session. Maybe it was insert object, text effects, rewrite, animate characters. Hopefully you knew about animate characters because it's like the best tool. Hopefully you knew about a lot of those. And then maybe you want to look now at how to bring this into your classroom. Well, great news for my friends in England and some in Scotland, as Classrooms has now arrived to your accounts. It is coming soon to Wales, Northern Ireland, the rest of Europe, and the majority of Scotland. There's only a couple of regions there that have got it switched on. You can set up a classroom now and you can share your learning. You can have your students share their learning together, and they can also create galleries. Personal galleries are available to everyone. So let me start with the good news, okay? So from the Adobe Express homepage, I think there will be a tile coming soon here for galleries, but in the meantime, it's tucked in here. Go to this little plus, scroll down, and boom, gallery. This is like just like a learning wall for you to share for students to gather like their own text, generate images, and add files. So I could put together like all of my creations from the 12 days creativity into a gallery, which would be really cool. So if you're teaching like the topic Titanic and you want all of your projects that each child creates in one place, they could put them all into a gallery. Just go like add and go from your stuff. So like I could go in here. Let's see, like I was having all of my 12 days creativity in here, but maybe I just want to like, I'll just do that for now. Add to my gallery, like boom, just like collated all my work in one place. I could then still go in and add text, like, oh, I'm shouting. And choose a little color, add it to the gallery. And I could generate an image the same way we know how to generate an image as well. Rename my gallery up at the top, edit gallery. My first gallery. And what's my gallery about? 12 days of creativity. And I want it to be red. And hit save. And then boom, now I've got a red gallery. So that's fantastic. And that gives you a little sneak peek of what the classroom galleries are going to look like as well. So for those of you who are in Wales, Northern Ireland, and the majority of Scotland and the rest of Europe, you will see that there's no classrooms button here and there's no teach tab here. However, if I go over to a demo account to show you this ever so briefly, boom, do you see that other button that's come in here? For those of you who are in England, a couple of regions in Scotland, you have access to classrooms now. So classrooms is essentially a way for you to create a class. For example, I'll go into my nice list here where I have created a classroom. You can add your students to it whenever you send them their first link, their first project, and you can start creating assignments and creating class galleries. I will do an entire separate session on this. I did touch on it on my last session that you can find in the recordings. Again, all the recordings are over on YouTube. I will put up a little ticker for that as well. So it's a fantastic way for you to find like some class community and get students like creating and sharing together, which would be really, really fun. And if I go into one of these, it's kind of blank. You can see here where you can kind of like see some of the work and you can see that it was assigned, but you could go in and see how many of your students have taken part in the work, how many have turned it in progress, returned, or not started. Who knows? So that's kind of what we're looking at. So if I just pop this on, the recordings, adobe.ly/ACE playlist is where you could go to learn more about that. If I hop back over to this presentation, you'll see there are tutorial videos here as well to learn more about classrooms and the self-paced course within Adobe Express. So just on the homepage, when you go to that Learn tab, this self-paced course spends quite a bit of time on classrooms as well, and there's more tutorials there. So do make use of the resources that are in Express as well, friends. Highly recommend it. Okay, last thing to talk about before we all clock off is the other resources and support that's available to you from Adobe Express for Education. You can go to our Express Links page. Express Links is kind of like our one-stop shop for where you can find out content. So you can go to like our lesson section to learn about the live lessons with Dom and Meredith. You can see what's coming up in future ones, and you can then sign up as well. Scroll on down, you can get access to our ebooks for Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England. You will also find some bonus resources and materials there as well. Keep on scrolling, you'll find out more about the ACE trainings. You're on one right now, and you can access the previous ones. You can also book on for future ones, which I haven't released yet. So there will be more coming for January, February, and beyond very soon. And then find out about ACE Leader. Well, I'm going to tell you about ACE Leader now with my remaining time with you, friends, which is that it is available for anyone to sign up to. You do not need to wait to be invited. You just join. And what it is essentially is it's an online community. We do host some things in person as well, mostly ran by our amazing ACE innovators, who are a fantastic bunch of people. But the ACE Leader community is really your place to come and connect with other teachers who are like-minded and are really curious about creativity in the classroom. In fact, some of them aren't like-minded. They have different ways of doing things, and that's what's great about it. It's fantastic that this community is now global as well. So it's not just connecting with folks in the UK. It's for Europe, America, Japan, Australia, ANZ, like, and beyond. So it's truly a global community. It's growing all the time. And I would love it to keep growing in the way that it is, especially in places across the UK and beyond. It would be great to have more of you join us. You get access to monthly competitions to earn some swag, to win some prizes. You will also get some of those amazing resources like Shell's Fab Gen AI resource that I shared earlier. Like, you get those things straight to your inbox, so you don't need to remember to come to this course or to take it down one day at a training session. You'll just get it in your inbox all the time. Some of the other things you get is a gorgeous badge, because who doesn't love more badges? So this ACE Leader badge, boom, is one that we have available for you. And you just, again, at the very bottom of this web page that you've had all session is where you go, or the ticker at the very bottom, to come and get your ACE Leader badge. Now, maybe you're like, Nicole, I just need my first ACE badge, this one over here. In that case, friends, you're going to go to adobe.ly/ACE badge, and you can download your badge and go share it proudly. Whew! Thank you so much for joining. If you're in the mood for some festive fun and you want to get creative with Adobe Express, there's still time to take part in our festive live lessons with Dom and Meredith. They're going to be looking at some of the 12 days of creativity and the festive drawing tutorials that we have. You can access all of them on the link below, adobe.ly/your community. I hope you have a wonderful festive break, whatever you're getting up to and however you choose to celebrate the holiday season. And I will see you all in January for the next run of webinars, and hopefully see you on our next ACE Leader meetup. Thank you all so much. Peace, love, and hugs. Bye.